Hi, Clay and John here. Today we're going to talk about doors and what type of door we would recommend for you if you're planning installing a transom over the top of a door. Now this doesn't mean we want you to run out and change the door that you've already bought, but we're going to give you some ideas of different types of doors and how they work with transoms. So Clay, we've got two doors here today. Tell us about what sizes they are and what materials they are.
These are 6'8" doors, which is 6'8". That's 80 inches tall. And this one here next to you is a 2'6". This one is a 2'8", and the one behind me over here is a 3'0" or 36-inch door.
Right. So we got two 6'8" doors, standard size, and an 8-foot door. We'll talk about the 8-foot door in a little while. So when you talk about 2'6", 2'8", that's obviously 2 feet and then 6 inches. That corresponds to not the slab here, which is the thing that moves, right? It's something else. Tell us what it is.
Yeah, that is the inside of the actual opening. That is not the door slab itself. The door slab itself is going to be sized 3/16 of an inch less than the door opening, and that gives you space on the sides so that the door can operate and not rub.
Okay. So you measure the opening, not the actual door slab, but you may actually see it on the label if you're buying it at Home Depot. Now this one is what we call a split jamb here, and this is a solid jamb. So let's talk about the split jamb first. This is something that you commonly see at Home Depot or Lowe's, except that it would have the casing on the sides of the jamb, and you can see that it splits. That's why they call it a split jamb. So how would you install a split jamb door, Clay, in terms of, and is this kind of what you would normally do if you just had a door opening without a transom?
Yeah, if you had a door opening without a transom, a split jamb is definitely a faster way to go in terms of installing the door. You just separate the two halves. You take the half with the door slab in it, you stand it up in the opening, and then you just nail the casing to the wall, get it squared up, nail the casing to the wall. It's very fast to get that initial install that way. Then you just shim behind it and add the other side afterwards, just again nailing that to the wall. It's very quick.
Okay, so essentially the casing then with the split jamb is kind of an integral piece of the install process. You got to have the casing on there. Now with a transom installed door, you really have to take this off though, right? Because the casing is going to go all the way around the transom.
Yes. Yeah, the casing is going to wrap all the way around the door and the transom as if it's one unit after you've installed the transom on top.
So if you've got a split jamb model, it's not that it's not going to work. You can see we have one here and it's going to work fine, but you're going to have to take the casing off and you're going to have to replace the casing. So you're kind of paying for something that you don't need if you're doing that. Let's talk about another option here, this double rabbited jamb.
Yeah, this is a solid piece of wood. It doesn't come in two halves like the split jamb, and it's got an integral stop built into it. And then the rabbet is the area where they plow out or slot out some wood, and that's where the recess that the door jamb, that the door slab fits into.
Okay, so the solid jamb, you just put that right into the whole door opening and secure it to the wall, and you're done with this one.
Yeah.
So it's simple in its own right. It's just you have to add the casing to it, which we were going to have to do anyway because of the transom. So this is really the reason we like this one. This one's actually simpler when you're doing it with a transom.
Yeah, you're not paying for casing that you're going to end up removing.
Okay. All right, so another thing we want to show you is how the transom lines up on top of the door. So why don't you give me the tape measure, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a look here at this particular door. This is a 6'8". So again, I'm going to stick the tape measure in here and measure to this point in the jamb here. It measured 30 inches. So if we're going to order a transom to match this, we're going to order one that should be exactly the same. So let's see if we got it right here. So the interior dimension of the jamb on the transom is also what, 30 inches?
30 inches, yeah.
Now, does it need a jamb too? And what size should we make it for the transom?
Yeah, well, the jamb width, you'll want to correspond to the width of your wall in your house. So if you have a 4 9/16 wall, which is typical with 2x4 construction, you're going to want to order your jamb 4 9/16.
Or a sneaky way to do it is you just measure your jamb of your door and you order it the same, right?
Yeah,
because if your contractor has already ordered this, they've already figured out what the jamb size is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that's going to work. We're going to go ahead and throw it on top of this door here and show you how it lines up.
I got it.
All right, so you can see that the jambs of the transom and the door line up, and the casing's actually going to be run all the way around, and you're going to fill this little gap here with a piece called mullion. But the reason that we wanted to use this particular transom on this door, this is a 16-inch tall transom, and that's an 8-foot door. And as you can see visually, they're the same height. So you can actually, if you have a 10-foot ceiling or a taller ceiling in your house, you can mix and match a standard size door with a 16-inch transom and an 8-foot door. That means that if you have a bedroom, you might want to install a regular door with a transom over the top. If you have a closet, you might want to use just a solid 8-foot door. So visually, these two are interchangeable, the ones at the end here. And that's just a tip if you have a taller ceiling. So I think that covers what we wanted today. Don't go out and buy a different door if you've got a split jamb. Just know you're going to have to take the casing off. If you do have a chance, order a double rabbeted solid door, and you'll have a little bit easier time putting the transom over the top of it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.